Ladies, let's get something clear right from the start. You are not here to audition for someone's love. You're not a backup plan. You're not an option. And you're certainly not just someone he talks to when he's bored. Today, I want to talk about the real signs, the ones that don't lie, the ones that come through in action, not words. Because when a man truly values you, you feel it. Not just in your heart, but in your everyday life. This isn't about the occasional compliment or a like on your story. This is about deep, consistent respect, real investment, and yes, emotional presence. So here are the 6 undeniable signs you're very important and valuable to him. And I'm giving you 2 bonus ones because you deserve more than just the bare minimum. When someone truly values you, they don't disappear and reappear like a magic trick. One of the clearest signs of your importance in a man's life is his consistency. Not in grand, dramatic gestures, but in the everyday ways that show he's there, really there. He makes time for you, whether it's 5 minutes in between meetings or a late night phone call just to hear your voice. Showing up isn't just about physical presence. It's about emotional presence. It's about prioritizing connection even on the busiest days. Consistency is what separates interest from commitment. Anyone can be charming once in a while. Anyone can send a sweet message when they're in the mood, but consistency takes intention. A man who values you won't leave long gaps between conversations. He won't let you sit in uncertainty or wonder if you said something wrong. He'll reach out. He'll follow up. He'll be steady. Not because he's trying to impress you, but because he genuinely wants to build something with you. And no, consistency doesn't mean perfection. Life gets busy and people get overwhelmed, but even in the chaos, a man who values you finds small ways to show you that you still matter. Maybe it's a quick voice note. Maybe it's a thinking of you text. Maybe it's letting you know, hey, today's been nuts, but I'll call you tonight. These small touches carry weight. They mean, I see you. You haven't slipped off my radar. You're important enough to stay connected with. You never feel like you're begging for attention when someone shows up consistently. You don't have to craft the perfect text just to get a reply. You don't have to wait days for a response or make excuses for his silence. There's peace in knowing he's steady. There's comfort in not having to perform to earn his interest. That's what happens when someone sees your value. They keep showing up even when it's not convenient, even when things aren't perfect. A man who truly values you doesn't need reminders to check in. He doesn't get to reply for days. He doesn't pop in only when it suits him. Instead, he builds a rhythm with you. He honors your time. He keeps his word. And most importantly, he shows that you're a part of his life now, not just a passing moment. You begin to see yourself as more than a weekend plan or a 2 a.m. text. You become part of his world in a consistent, reliable way. That consistency is not just a sign of attraction. It's a reflection of character. It tells you how he handles responsibility, how he deals with emotions, and how deeply he's willing to invest in another human being. And make no mistake, it's not about being glued to his phone or reporting every detail of his day. It's about showing you, through actions and presence, that he sees you as a priority. And when someone sees you that way, they don't vanish. They show up again and again. When a man genuinely values you, he doesn't just hear your words. He listens to your meaning. There's a powerful difference between someone who passively nods along while you speak and someone who's truly tuned in. You'll notice it in the way he looks at you, not distracted, not scrolling his phone, not thinking about what to say next, but actually with you in the moment. He leans into the conversation because he understands that what you're saying isn't just small talk. It's a window into your inner world. You can tell he listens by what he remembers. A man who values you will bring up things you forgot you even mentioned. Your favorite coffee order, the book you said you wanted to read, that stressful meeting you had last Friday. He picks up on the details, not because he's trying to impress you, but because he genuinely cares. Listening becomes his way of showing respect, of saying, what you say is important to me because you are important to me. Real listening shows up when you're not at your best, when you're venting, overthinking, or spiraling a little. He doesn't get impatient or try to fix everything right away. He creates a safe space for you to speak without judgment. He doesn't make it about him. He doesn't interrupt to offer solutions unless you ask for them. He knows that sometimes the most powerful way to support you is by simply being present, without minimizing, without correcting, just being there with open ears and an open heart. You also notice it in how he responds. He doesn't jump to assumptions or dismiss your feelings. He asks thoughtful questions that make you feel seen and understood. His replies reflect that he not only heard your words, but he also took the time to understand what you were feeling underneath them. That kind of active listening builds a deeper emotional intimacy, the kind where you start to feel like your thoughts are safe with him and your heart is in good hands. Listening in this sense becomes a form of emotional intimacy. It's not just about communication, it's about connection. A man who listens deeply is showing you, without needing to say it outright, that your mind, your opinions, your stories, they hold value to him. He's telling you, in action rather than words, you matter to me far beyond the surface. That's what separates someone who's just passing time with you from someone who's emotionally invested. And here's the thing, when someone listens to you like this, you don't feel the need to fight for space or over-explain yourself. You feel relaxed. You feel heard. You feel emotionally held in a way that brings peace, not pressure. Because when a man truly values you, your voice is never a burden. It becomes something he cherishes, something he looks forward to, and something he makes room for every single time. One of the most powerful indicators that a man truly values you is how he treats what matters to you, not just emotionally, but practically. He doesn't demand all your time or expect you to drop everything for him. Instead, he respects the life you've built, the responsibilities you carry, and the passions that keep your soul lit. He knows your time is valuable, and he doesn't feel entitled to it. He's grateful for it. That attitude changes everything about how he shows up. Respecting your time means he plans, not pressures. He doesn't assume that you'll be available at a moment's notice, nor does he guilt-trip you when you're busy. Whether it's work, family, or personal goals, he understands that your life doesn't revolve around him, and he's not only okay with that, he admires it. When a man values you, he honors your schedule instead of acting like it's an inconvenience. He sees your independence not as a threat, but as a strength. Boundaries, too, become sacred in this dynamic. A man who truly respects you doesn't push past your limits, whether they're emotional, physical, or mental. He listens when you say no. He accepts when you need space. He understands when you need time to think, to rest, or to process. He doesn't take offense when you protect your peace because he wants to add to your life, not invade it. That respect creates emotional safety, the kind that allows trust to grow without fear or pressure. When it comes to your goals, a man who sees your value doesn't shrink you. He supports your expansion. He's not intimidated by your drive, and he doesn't compete with your ambition. On the contrary, he asks about your dreams, checks in on your progress, and reminds you of your strength when you doubt yourself. He doesn't just tolerate your goals, he celebrates them. He wants to see you thrive, and he finds fulfillment in watching you succeed, even if your path doesn't always center around him. It also shows up in the small things. How he responds when you have deadlines, when you need to reschedule, or when your priorities take precedence. He doesn't guilt you for choosing self-care or career over a last-minute plan. He doesn't complain when you set a boundary or say you need alone time. In fact, he respects you more for it because he knows a woman who honors herself is a woman worth building something real with. That mutual respect becomes the foundation for a deeper, more balanced connection. Most importantly, this kind of respect isn't conditional. He doesn't withhold kindness or attention until you align with his expectations. He doesn't love you only when it's convenient or when you're giving him what he wants. Instead, his respect is steady. It's grounded, it's mature, And it shows consistently in how he supports your choices, even when they don't benefit him directly. Because when a man values you, your boundaries don't push him away, they draw him closer. When a man truly values you, he doesn't keep you at arm's length or tucked away in a corner of his life. He begins to open the doors to his world, not because he feels obligated to, but because he wants you to be part of it. Inclusion is one of the most powerful, non-verbal ways a man expresses care, commitment, and significance. It says, "You're not just someone I enjoy spending time with. You're someone I want with me, long term, in the spaces that matter most." This shows up in subtle, yet deeply meaningful ways. Maybe he starts talking about you to his friends. Maybe he invites you to meet his family, not as a performance, but as a natural step because you're important to him. Or maybe he simply wants to include you in things that matter to him: game nights, work events, family dinners, even simple moments like introducing you to his favorite cafe. A man who values you wants you to see where he comes from, how he lives, and who he really is. It's not just about being seen, it's about being let in. He's not hiding you from the people in his life, nor is he compartmentalizing the relationship. You aren't just the girl he texts or someone he hangs out with sometimes. He takes steps to merge his life with yours, not in a rushed or overwhelming way, but through steady acts of invitation. Inclusion says, "I see a future with you, and I'm not afraid for others to see it too." What's more, when he includes you in his world, he starts showing genuine curiosity about yours as well. He wants to know about your childhood stories, your family dynamics, your closest friends, and your daily life. It's not just about him opening up. It's about wanting to understand where you come from. It becomes a mutual exchange, a gradual blending of two lives, not just two schedules. You begin to feel emotionally woven into the fabric of each other's experiences. There's also a strong emotional safety that comes from being included. You don't feel like you're being hidden or kept at a distance. You're not stuck wondering where you stand or why you haven't met anyone important to him. You feel recognized, claimed, not in a possessive way, but in a way that says, "I'm proud to have you in my life, and I want others to see that too." That kind of inclusion validates your presence and reinforces the fact that you're not just a temporary chapter in his story. And inclusion doesn't always look like big introductions or Instagram posts. Sometimes it's in how he talks about you when you're not around, the way he brings up shared memories in front of others, or how he creates space for you in his routine. You're no longer just navigating your world with him occasionally dropping in. You're now being invited into his. And when a man truly values you, he doesn't just want you next to him. He wants you in his life fully and completely. It's easy for someone to be sweet and supportive when everything is smooth, when you're laughing and glowing, and the mood is light. But the real test of someone's emotional investment is how they respond when the waters get rough, when you're upset, overwhelmed, anxious, or simply not your best. A man who truly values you doesn't just enjoy your joy, he stays present when your emotions are heavy, even if it complicates his day or challenges his own comfort. Caring about your feelings when it's inconvenient means he doesn't shut down, get defensive, or make it about him the moment your emotions rise. He doesn't roll his eyes when you're vulnerable or withdraw when you're emotionally raw. Instead, he leans in, he pays attention, he listens with a quiet kind of patience that says, "I might not fully understand what you're feeling, but I want to." His instinct is not to retreat, but to create safety for you and for the relationship in those difficult emotional moments. He doesn't try to fix you or throw out generic advice just to move past the discomfort. He respects that your feelings are real, valid, and worthy of space. Even if he doesn't have all the answers, he holds space for you to express them without rushing your process. That act of simply being with you in your feelings is one of the most overlooked yet powerful expressions of love and emotional maturity. You start to notice that even during disagreements, he doesn't go cold or cruel. He may have his own emotions, his own frustration, but he keeps a part of himself open to your experience too. He's willing to see beyond his ego and acknowledge how something made you feel, even if it wasn't his intention. That's not weakness, that's strength. It's the kind of emotional intelligence that builds real intimacy, the ability to sit in the mess, to hear discomfort and not turn away. And it's not just about arguments or emotional conversations. This care shows up in small moments too, like when he notices you're quieter than usual and checks in, or when he cancels his own plans to be with you because he can sense you need someone. He doesn't treat your emotional needs as a disruption or a burden. Instead, he treats them with tenderness, knowing that honoring your feelings is part of honoring you. This kind of care isn't performative. It's not just for the honeymoon phase or the highlight reel. It's woven into how he speaks to you, how he reacts under stress, and how he prioritizes emotional closeness even when it stretches him. When someone truly values you, your heart doesn't scare them. Your feelings, big or small, don't send them running. They care even when it's hard, even when it's messy, and especially when it would be easier not to. When a man truly values you, he doesn't treat your time like it's just another open slot on his calendar. He doesn't rely on spontaneity as a cover for poor effort, and he doesn't make a habit of texting you at 9 p.m. asking, "Wanna come over?" as if your presence is a convenience. Instead, he puts thought into seeing you. He plans. He organizes. He lets you know in advance that he wants time with you, and not just any time, quality time. There's something deeply respectful and affirming about being planned for. It's not about fancy dinners or extravagant dates, though those can be lovely. It's about intentionality. When a man takes the time to ask for your availability, consider your preferences, and carve out space for you in his week, he's sending a clear message: you're important enough for me to prepare for. That act alone separates someone who values your presence from someone who just wants to fill their boredom. You begin to notice that your interactions with him have structure. He'll text you days in advance and say, "Hey, I'd love to take you out Friday. Does that work for you?" Or he might plan something based on a conversation you had earlier, a coffee spot you said you liked, a movie you mentioned, a place you've wanted to visit. He listens, remembers, and acts on it. That kind of behavior isn't random. It's the product of genuine care and focused attention. And it's not just about social plans. When he values you, he includes you in future-oriented conversations, whether it's planning for a holiday, attending a wedding together, or even something as simple as booking concert tickets a month from now. He starts to envision you in his future, not just by his side for the present moment. That subtle, forward-looking behavior is one of the clearest signs that he sees you as more than temporary. He's investing, not just reacting. Making plans also shows emotional consistency. You never feel like you're being strung along or waiting for him to fit you in. You don't find yourself sitting by the phone hoping he remembers. Instead, you feel secure because you know he's going to follow through. He respects your time so much that he wouldn't risk making you feel like an afterthought. Your time is valuable, and he treats it that way by honoring it, planning around it, and showing up when he says he will. The truth is, people make time for what matters. A man who truly sees your worth won't leave your connection up to chance or convenience. He won't rely on excuses or unpredictability. He'll plan because your presence in his life matters. He wants your time not just for today, but in a way that allows the connection to grow, deepen, and build into something that lasts. And that kind of consistency is never accidental. It's a reflection of real value. One of the strongest signs a man genuinely values you is when he not only accepts your evolution, but actively encourages it, even when it stretches him out of his comfort zone. He doesn't try to keep you small or safe just to soothe his ego. Instead, he celebrates your growth, knowing that a woman who is becoming more of who she truly is will only deepen the richness of the relationship. For him, your success is not a threat, it's a shared victory. He's not intimidated by your ambition or your ability to stand on your own. He sees your goals as part of what makes you magnetic. Whether you're applying for a new job, starting a business, going back to school, or simply working on your confidence, he's in your corner. He listens when you talk about your dreams, and instead of downplaying them or redirecting the conversation back to himself, he leans in and says, "Tell me more." That curiosity reflects real investment in you as a person, not just a partner. This kind of support shows up in the way he speaks about you, even when you're not in the room. He brags about your accomplishments, not to inflate his own status, but because he's proud of you. He shares your wins with genuine joy. And when things don't go according to plan, he doesn't diminish your pain. He offers reassurance and reminds you of your strength. That's not just encouragement. That's emotional partnership. You start to feel a different kind of freedom in the relationship. One where you don't have to dull your shine to make him feel secure. You don't have to downplay your intelligence, your passion, or your ideas. He doesn't shrink in the face of your light. He steps up to meet it. And in doing so, he inspires you to become even more of who you are. It's not about competition, it's about growth together. He wants both of you to evolve, and he sees your evolution as something worth protecting. Even when your growth challenges the relationship dynamic, like you setting new boundaries, gaining more independence, or spending more time on your personal goals. He doesn't resist it just because it's inconvenient for him. He adapts. He respects the shift, even if it means he has to rework some expectations. Why? Because his comfort is not more important than your becoming. That's what real care looks like. It makes space for expansion, not just for stability. You begin to feel emotionally safe to dream bigger, not just because he says, "You can do anything," but because his actions reinforce it. He supports your decisions, gives you room to evolve, and checks his own ego when it tries to interfere. His support isn't loud or performative. It's steady, quiet, and deeply rooted. Because when a man truly values you, he won't just want to keep you where you are. He'll want to see how far you can go, and he'll stand beside you as you rise. When a man truly values you, you don't just feel it in the big gestures or the milestone moments. You feel it in the little things, the everyday details that most people overlook. It's the small, thoughtful actions that often speak the loudest. The way he remembers how you take your tea. The way he sends you a message before an important meeting just to say, "You've got this." These aren't grand displays. They're quiet forms of loyalty, care, and intentional love that build trust over time. Consistency in the little things creates emotional safety. It tells you that his presence in your life isn't a performance or a phase. It's a choice made again and again in subtle ways. He doesn't just show up when it's convenient or when he feels like being romantic. He shows up even on the dull, uneventful days when there's nothing flashy to gain. He builds a steady rhythm of presence, and that rhythm becomes the heartbeat of the relationship. You start to notice that he keeps his word, even about the small stuff. If he says he'll call, he does. If he says he'll pick something up for you, he won't forget. He's not perfect, but he tries, and that effort is consistent. It shows that he's not only listening, but he cares enough to act on what he hears. You're not left second guessing or chasing him down. You don't have to beg for reliability. It's simply part of how he moves with you. And it's not just about responsibility. It's about attunement. He notices when you're tired and offers to take something off your plate. He remembers your triggers and avoids them, not because you demand it, but because he wants to make you feel emotionally safe. These are the moments that don't get posted or talked about much, but they're the glue that holds everything together. They're the quiet indicators that he's not just trying to win your heart. He's working to keep it. Consistency in the little things also means he's emotionally available in ways that feel grounding. You don't have to walk on eggshells wondering if today he'll be warm or cold. You don't have to question whether his mood will shift randomly or if his interest will fade after a good weekend. There's a steady emotional baseline with him. He doesn't withdraw affection to manipulate you. He doesn't disappear to test your patience. His presence is calm, clear, and stable, even when life isn't. Over time, those small gestures start to mean more than anything he could buy or say. Because they're not about proving a point. They're about showing love through presence, reliability, and care. They whisper, "You matter," every single day. And the more consistent those moments are, the more deeply you start to trust, not just in him, but in the space the two of you are building together.